The memoirs of a Soviet intelligence officer describe a curious episode from military life, when the trust placed in a captured soldier almost turned into a tragedy. This case occurred on the Eastern Front at the end of 1941. In our platoon took root a German prisoner, who for a long time performed various minor household chores for us. He ran to the regimental kitchen for food, cooked firewood, boiled tea, and generally tried to do us a favor. We had already forgotten that he was an enemy and called Paul in Russian Pavel. Later our carelessness was severely punished, because as the Russian proverb rightly says, no matter how much you feed the wolf, he still looks into the forest. Here and our tame German still showed his animal fascist gut. One day the chief of staff brought us a boy named Vazia, who inexplicably passed all the outposts and got into the front line. While waiting to send him to the nearest town, the commander decided to give the boy to the scouts, especially since he did not want to go to any other branch of the army. Vazia turned out to be bright and extremely curious, and this curiosity extended mainly to weapons. He could spend hours fiddling with some broken trophy automatic rifle. He could be given the task of cleaning a rifle. And as a result, the boy was quickly liked by everyone. But the scouts were always busy, often absent, and Vazia became attached to the captured German, who amused him and taught him various tricks. That day, we gathered in a large dugout, cleaned ourselves, shaved, in short, brought ourselves to the guard's appearance. Then there was a timid knock at the door. Someone shouted, "Come in." It was unlocked. But no one came in, and the knock was repeated, softly and as if from below, as if they were tapping with their feet. I came and opened the door, and Vazia stepped into the dugout. He kept his hands in his pockets and was silent. The boy's pale face, wide open and frightened eyes, trembling lips suggested that something had happened. I put my hand on Vazia's shoulder and said, "Why are you so sad? What happened?" Vazia lowered his head and cried. But he didn't take his hands out of his pockets to wipe away the tears from his face, as all crying boys do. It seemed strange to me. Then I looked into the pockets of his jacket, and I got goosebumps. The boy was frantically clenching in his fists F1 grenades of very strong fragmentation and fugitive action. The main thing is not to be frightened and not to take his hands out. I said as calmly and affectionately as possible, "Vasenka, dear, hold your hands tight." And in the same tone softly told one of the scouts to come here, "The kid has grenades." The two of us intercepted the boy's hands and, having squeezed the grenades there, carefully took them out. The safety caps on both grenades had been removed. And one could only wonder how weak children's hands could hold the force of the spring for so long. The boy must have realized the danger, and his fingers were cramped. When we went outside, we threw them into the stream, where they immediately exploded, and returned to the dugout. We could not understand how it happened. Knowing that Vazia was partial to weapons, we could assume that the case with grenades was a dalliance. But how could the boy remove the pin on both grenades? As cheerfully as possible I asked, "How did you manage to remove the rings?" He was still trembling nervously, but crying he said it wasn't me. It was Uncle Pavel. In his pockets he said still to come here, to give the grenades to you and that you would praise me for it. Everything became clear. The fascist had calculated everything subtly. The boy would be blown up together with the scouts. We immediately rushed to look for the German to shoot him like a dog, but we could not find him anywhere. Then we were told that he was in the dugout of the special department, where he had run to for fear of reprisals. He realized, the bastard, that he had done something wrong and that he would not be treated with ceremony. In the special department we were explained that there were international rules of treatment of prisoners of war, and that nobody would allow us to organize a lynching. Besides, the prisoner had not succeeded in committing the intended crime. Appropriate measures would be taken against him. Then we went to the headquarters and said that if the German remains in our regiment, we do not vouch for his life. We never saw this German again. But they said that he was shot.